Alright, so I'm back, but only for a little while. Just a couple things. Number one, this story is gonna be called Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the Dark Web Trilogy. Number two, if you saw a loss in my subscriber count, don't worry, YouTube just cleaning up inactive subs, accounts that have been closed down. Okay, now that I'm done talking about that, let's get into the video. Wednesday. So, something really interesting happened today. At school, Albert Sandy was saying some random things as usual, but today, something caught my attention. He was talking about something called the dark web and how you could make really easy cash on it by doing crazy things. But there are consequences like people kidnapping you or even murdering you or killing you. Knowing myself, I would obviously go for the gold, but that last part really set me off. Is it really worth getting the money? I'll just have to see about this myself. The first thing I did when I got home was to get on the computer. After some research, I found it. Another thing I found out is that it's not a piece of cake getting that money. The first thing I've got to do is sell someone to the black market. And of course, no one is gonna want to do that. But I have a few tricks up my sleeve. Ready to go to the North Pole? Thursday. $15,000! Maybe it is this easy. I have so much money now that I don't know what to do with it. My only problem is that mom or dad might find out about Manny. Well, first of all, I don't think dad would care at all, so my main problem is mom. But I don't have to worry anymore. Since I had gotten all that money, I guess you could say I'll be paying Shirag from now on. Pussy? Friday. Time to let the secret out. I'm wealthy now. I just pulled out some of my green paper and everyone started sucking up to me. The same day, I went up to Albert Sandy to ask about more advice. With the bit of information he gave me, I'm going to make more money than just a lousy $15,000. The first thing I did after school was go to Rowley's house. My plan is this: when he's not looking, I'll put up a secret camera, stream it, and see if I get any donation. Let's just say my plan was a success.
Yo dog, the weed ya bought.
Saturday. The next day, I checked the stream and it has over 17,000 people watching it. At the end of the day, I had over $50,000. Then I had gotten a text from someone. James. Hey, can I kill this kid? Do what you want, he's not mine. Cool. Also, I'll buy another one from you for $1.5 million. First of all, if you don't know who James is, he's the guy who sold me the money. Second of all, of course I accepted the offer. Who would turn down $1.5 million? Also, who am I gonna sell now? I guess I had the feeling of selling Fregley. I really don't care about him, but if it's making me cash, then I just don't care. So I sent James his address. Sunday, I went up the street and hid behind the bushes in Fregley's front yard so I can get a look at this James character. And surely enough, he came.
Oh shit!
Also, I couldn't make out his details very well because he had this mask on. After he put Fregley in his van, he went down to my house and put something in the mailbox. I went down there and it was $1.5 million. Monday. School was cancelled today because of thunderstorm warnings or whatever. So what else was I gonna do all day but do some more dark web stuff? I remembered that the other day I went up to Holly to flex on her, but she didn't care. So maybe there was a way I can make her mine. And unfortunately there is. And so I hired a random person off of a website to bring me her against her will. Now that seems fair to me. A few hours later, I heard a knock at the door, so I answered it and you won't believe what I saw.
Help me!
That's when I realized that what I'm doing is messed up. I am so freaked out that all I did was leave her out there. I don't want to do this anymore. Tuesday.
Oh, fuck, I forgot about Holly.
I ran outside and I was too late. Apparently, they thought it was another trash bag. I guess there's nothing to do now. She's gone forever. Oh, who cares? Let's just get on with the story. Wednesday. I don't want to do this anymore. Today I texted James that I was done selling him stuff, but he texted me something that I didn't expect. Might me behind Papa Tony. Okay, I know it might not be the smartest idea, but after doing business together, I think I can trust them. Later, during the night, I snuck out and went behind Papa Tony's just like he said, and there he was. I thanked him for helping me get that money. Then I asked him why he wanted me to come here. He said he had something in the back of his van that he wanted to show me. So he got out and we walked to the back of the van. But as soon as he opened the door, he grabbed the collar of my shirt and threw me into the back of the truck. Talk about bad customer service. So now, here I am in the back of a creepy guy's van, driving down the road going who knows where, who knows what awaits me. Alright, so that concludes my part for this story. So now I'm gonna hand the mic over to Jeremy because he will be doing the second part of this reading. Maybe about 30 to 40 minutes after I was turned into a van by James, which is probably not his real name, we arrived at an abandoned building. After James got out and opened the doors, I tried to make my escape, but he tased me. Then he said, "Please don't make this hard." That's what she said. I don't want to be tased again, so I did as he said. We walked inside of the building and then into a room and he told me to sit down. He pulled his phone out and called someone saying he's here. After James hung up, it got really quiet. I asked him what that phone call was about and he said that he had to call his boss. Then I asked him what this place was and what his boss was going to do to me, and he said that he didn't know. I was really confused on why he would do this to me because I trusted him. So I asked him why he kidnapped me and all he said was this: "If you don't shut up, I'm gonna tase you or worse." I decided to keep my mouth shut. I guess that was a good idea because his boss walked in and I couldn't believe who it was. "Hey Greg." It was Albert Sandy. How and why? I must have been dreaming, so I told James to tase me again and he did. This wasn't a dream. I asked Albert where I was and he said it was his headquarters. Then he asked me if I wanted a tour of this place. This isn't fucking Willy Wonka's chocolate factory, but what else was I supposed to say? So he led me through the building. One of the rooms on the tour that Albert showed me was where he would ship yogurt and drugs, but mostly yogurt. But the strange part was that Fregley was there. Even Manny was there. My organ harvesting room.
Help, Bub.
All of this seemed cool and all, but I wanted to know how this all started. I asked him and he got to the point. He made this place his headquarters back when middle school started, when he got into all of this dark web stuff. Then he bought James as a slave to help him with his dirty work. After a few years, his service of selling yogurt and organs took off and he wanted new people to work for him. He didn't want to use his money on buying people, so he decided to use someone from school. For some reason, he thought I would be the perfect person who would like doing this stuff, so he brought it up to me because he knew that I was curious. So he decided to do tests on me. He hacked into my computer, so whenever I pay anyone to do something for me, it would be James. So finally, after a while of seeing what I do, he asked me if I wanted to work for him, and I gave him his answer. "I'm sorry, but no." He looked kinda confused for a second and then laughed. He said that wasn't a good choice, he snapped his fingers, and James started walking towards me. This obviously didn't look good, so I made a run for it. I guess it was good that I got that tour because now I knew how to get around the place. From looking back, he didn't look like he was in a hurry, so I guess that could buy me some time. After running down a few corridors, I ran into a room and hid behind the table. But apparently, it didn't take him that long to find me. I can see you, Greg. And he didn't have a little taser this time. He had a gun. I wasn't planning on dying this soon, so I told him that I had an idea when nothing bad could happen. I was lucky because he actually put his gun out of my face and told me to make it quick. I told him that if we both escape, then we don't have to hear from Albert ever again. He said he liked that idea, but I asked him why he didn't escape in the first place. James said that he couldn't escape because Albert installed a shock collar on his ankle, so whenever James doesn't do his bidding, he'll shock it. So I grabbed the hammer that was on the table and started to bash at it, and it actually came off. He was a little ticked off because he thought I was going to snap off his ankle. After all that, we started to get the heck out of there. James said that there was an exit a few turns from running, but as soon as we were doing that, we accidentally ran into Albert Sandy. He asked us where we were going, and believe it or not, James said, "Get out of my way, you lump of pork!" and beat the tar out of them. Then, after pushing through the exit of the building, we hopped into James' van and we started to drive out of it. I asked him, what are we gonna do about Albert? And he said that he had control of all the explosive yogurt below the building, and he pressed a button on a remote-looking thingy. Okay, so that concludes my part of the story. I'll now be handing this over to Sanjay as he will be reading part 3, The Red Room. Okay, so I don't know if I should address this or not, but YouTube's doing this thing where they're cleaning up all the inactive subscribers or all the closed accounts off of people's channels. So there's gonna be a drop in subscribers from some people. Rashawn just had a drop in 400 subscribers. He was kind of going through the motions, but since they're cleaning up the channel, just make sure you're subscribed because YouTube also accidentally, YouTube sometimes just unsubscribes people from the channel. So make sure you're subscribed. Just do it to check. Alright, Sanjay, to you. November. While I haven't wrote in this for a while. To sum it all up, I haven't wrote in this for a long time because everything has just gone back to normal, I guess. Aside from me having to pay Shirag to pretend to be my brother. Me and Dreams started to bond recently and we have just become really good friends.
What the heck?
But I came back to my journal for a very specific reason. James has been really absent lately. I would always text him, but he wouldn't respond. He would always leave me on red. And he's not the only one acting strange. Laurie is as well. I went up to him today and he just pushed me away. Go suck an egg, Greg. Then fine. I don't need Rowley. I have James. I hope. Tuesday. I started jumping to conclusions about James today. I'm thinking, what if this has to do with Albert? But that's impossible, he's dead. Yeah, he has access to different and illegal things, but I don't think he could find something to make him immortal. So I'm gonna go up to his blown up HQ to see if I can find anything. But there is a problem. How do I get there? I asked Shirog if he had any ideas and he said that he knows a guy who can get us a car. How do you know about this guy? You don't wanna know. Anyway, Shirog brought me downtown behind a sketchy building and I met the guy that Shirog was talking about. His name was Dominic. What are you doing back here, shrimp? I am here to get the car. Boss said I could use it if I wanted. After getting all of that out of the way, we got into the car and started driving to Albert's destroyed HQ. You might be wondering, how do I know where it is? Well, it's quite simple. When me and James were friends, he told me where it was, a few miles away from Plainview. When we got to the HQ, it was nothing but rubble. Well, besides the giant piles of yogurt everywhere. After looking through the junk a bit, I noticed something. Albert's body was nowhere to be found. There was nothing else we could do there, so we got back in the car and drove back home. Wednesday. None of this makes any sense. First, James goes missing, Lowly is mad at me and Albert's body is gone, and now Lowly is all of a sudden acting nice to me? How's it going, Greg? I don't know if he's bipolar or something now, but it's getting kinda strange. Another thing he asked me today was if I could spend the night at his house. So I agreed because I think it'll get my mind off of things. But I'm bringing Shilog too if anything weird happens. Friday. I knew it. As soon as me and Shilog opened Rowley's front door, that giant piece of lard smacked us in the head with a metal bat. When I woke up, me and Chirag were tied up and inside a moving van. Here we go again. Chirag was already awake and he asked me what was going on until I told him I didn't know, until Rowley told us to shut our mouths. Quiet back there! I'm surprised you know how to drive. Eventually, we got to our destination and we were at another building in the middle of nowhere. Rowley motioned us inside. Rowley took us into a room that had Albert and James inside, but James was tied up too. I still didn't want to talk to him though, so I started asking Albert all the questions. You're supposed to be dead. How are you alive? Simple. I shielded myself with my amazing yogurt. Of course you would. Why is James here? Since he called me a lump of pork, I kidnapped him, stole all of his stuff, and tortured him. Where am I? My boss, Mr. S, lended me the building. That's when I told Albert to cut to the chase. He said that he brought me here so he can torture me too. But he doesn't need James anymore and he doesn't need Shirag. So Lolly kicked them out and locked the door shut and started to walk me into another room. The room was lit red and it had a chair in the middle. I didn't know if I was hallucinating, but I swear there was bloodstains on there. After they strapped me down, Albert said he was gonna grab some tools. As soon as Albert left the room, I asked Rowley why he was so mad at me, and he said it was because Albert told him that I put that camera in his room. That's also why he joined Albert. I had completely forgot about the camera I set up. I guess everything has been going by so fast. It felt like yesterday when I joined the dark web. I told Rowley I was sorry and I was getting ahead of myself and I wouldn't do anything like that again. But he didn't say anything. That's when Albert came in carrying a saw, a hammer, and I couldn't even tell what the other thing was supposed to be. I'm back. Albert put everything on the table and did eeny meeny miny mo with them on it landed on a saw. He walked over to me and started to saw my leg off. It was the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Right when he started to gnaw off my bones, I passed out. I woke up with Albert slapping my face. I guess he was waking me up. I couldn't feel my leg and I didn't even want to look at it. But what I did see though was Albert telling Rowley to cut off my arm. Your turn, Rowley. Cut off his arm. At the time of recording this, Sanjay said his internet cut out, so it's time for me to read this. Nevertheless, Sanjay, thank you for reading this. So, I guess the whole Joshy stuff paid off though, because Rowley said no. Right before Albert could do anything, James and Chirag busted down the door and grabbed Albert. After wrestling that fat warhog, they tied him up and knocked him out. After losing so much blood, I passed out, man. Monday. Okay, so I guess it's time to catch you up on what happened. So, after I passed out, James, Shirag, and Rowley helped me out with my leg and we all got in the van. To take care of Albert, they put him in a bag, tied weights on him, and we tossed him over a bridge. That's right, kids, in a shocking turn of events, we've killed Albert Sandy. The next day, James took me to the hospital for my leg and paid the hospital bill. Then he went on the dark web and bought me a cool looking robot leg as a new one. Other than that, me and Raul became friends again, and yes, I'm still paying Chirag to pretend to be my younger brother. It's gonna be a while before I forget all about this, so I'm just gonna put the past behind me. The end. Okay, so that was the story, the Dark Web Trilogy. It was done by John Was Never. The link to his Reddit along with this story and everything will be in the description down below. So before I end the video, just a couple things I want to say. Number one, while I was gone, I was making a little iceberg video. I'm also doing the video with Communist Creeper, the iceberg video I'm talking about, so make sure you check out Communist Creeper. The description, God, I cannot speak. But, his link will be in the description. Also, if you saw a drop in my subscriber count, don't panic, don't worry. Or if you see a drop in other people's subscriber counts, YouTube's doing this thing where they're cleaning off the inactive subs. of people's channel, basically the accounts that have been closed down by YouTube or closed down by the owners. So don't worry about it. Number three, as I said, I'm doing a history video. So right after the iceberg video is done and right after this video is done, I will be going back into hibernation so I can do that video. The reason it's taking so long is because while it takes 1 week to make the video, if the video is ultimately not perfect, I have to scrap it. So I'll be gone for a month after that. Yeah, that's everything I have to talk about. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.